Before we get started, I'm going to ask you to slide your finger over to the subscribe button, hit subscribe, so you can get updates on this topic in particular. I'm also going to ask that you make it to the end of the video. I'm going to keep it short, maybe 5 minutes, but this is life-saving information. So if your attention span can't hold 5 minutes to save your own life potentially, you kind of get what you deserve. I'm Paul, Apex Mindset, relationship coach, and master NLP, EMDR, and hypnotherapist. So let's talk about the 3 stages of a narcissistic or BPD abuse relationships. Okay, this is the same pattern that human predators, that people who are human predators, as I've explained in previous video. This is the pattern that they follow in all their relationships. It's interesting when you work with people, when you coach people like I do, you can recognize this pattern over and over and over again like clockwork. And so you need to be able to recognize it if you're caught in this pattern or if you have been before, okay, and understand what's going on with you. So stage 1, okay, of a human predator relationship is the idealization phase. So this is the phase where they're trying to get you, okay? And this does mirror normal. These stages mirror normal relationships where there's pair bonding, where you have honeymoon phase and then you have kind of a challenge, phase once the honeymoon phase is over. I mean, there's stages in a normal relationship. But the difference is pair bonding is involved. So there's actual bonding that occurs between 2 people. As I explained in my previous video, there is no bonding that occurs, okay, in this. What it is the only bond is enmeshment, where you are entangled with this person, your self-concept, your neurochemicals, and a bunch of other things become reliant on this person. And so it's very difficult to break the relationship or get out of it. That's not love. Okay, it's an abuse relationship. All right, you got to understand the difference because that other person is not pair bonded to you. They're using you for supply, as I explained in that previous video. Okay, so what happens though is they have to suck you in. They have to get you. And that is this idealization phase. All right, this is where they mold themselves into being your perfect mate. So if you could FedEx yourself the perfect girl or the perfect guy to be in a relationship with, they become that person. They're feeling you out. They're getting to know you and learn about you so that they could mirror and be everything that you would want them to be. And they do this because they want to get you and possess you and own you so that they can then get and draw supply from you, just like a predator or really just like a parasite. It's more of a parasitic relationship. Okay, so they're predators, but they're really parasitic. And so this is where everything is wonderful with this person. It's the best relationship you could ever be in. And their emotions, feelings, it happens very quickly. They act like you are the best thing that has ever happened to them and that ever could happen to them. All right. And they are exhibiting the traits and doing all the things that they're walking on eggshells. They're on their best behavior. They're doing every possible thing to get you addicted to them. And that is their goal. And ultimately, these types of relationships are addictions. Okay. So what happens is when they do this and they love bomb you, as it's been called, is that they create a neurochemical response where all your dopamine and oxytocin and all those normal chemicals that you're supposed to get when you are in a genuine love relationship with somebody happens with this person. But the problem is it's happening in a predatory fashion, much like smoking crack cocaine gives you this huge higher rush, that you have similar neurochemical responses when you have natural highs or skydiving or any of that stuff, but you're getting it artificially through a substance. This is an artificial feelings of love through this predatory relationship or this parasitic relationship. And they create most of that during the idealization phase. Once they feel like they have you, remember, it's all about supply. So what can they get from you to justify themselves, their ego, their self-concept? Well, in the beginning, they're trying to get you. So the process of getting you and moving you along that process of making you addicted to them feeds that ego for them. But once they have you, well, now they can no longer feed that ego. And so whether it's BPD, where they're paranoid about abandonment and losing that supply, or whether it's NPD or, antisocial personality disorder, where, they just want to devalue you to garnish more supply from you, they can't go any further now because they have you maximally in love with them. So now they have to bring you down. And this is where that infection happens in your own map of the world. It's literally piercing into your frame with a needle and destroying your frame from the inside. That is what they do. And you will find yourself during this devaluing phase of this person doing things and thinking things that you never thought you ever would do, dysfunctional things, embarrassing shit that you won't tell other people. There are ways that you will let this person bring you down that would be embarrassing if you were to tell your family, friends, or even me as a coach. Now you never need to be embarrassed to tell me anything. I've heard it all, but that's how it's horrifying, the breaking down of your self-concept that happens. And it starts with nagging, small little thing. I mean, it could be anything. There's all these psychological tactics that occur. We could talk about that in another video, but they create this toxicity and this drama. And the theme of all this stuff is that it's all your fault too. You have to do something different in order for this. It's like we're not in this fairy tale relationship that we started because you're doing this. That's whatever it is, right? And that's the message that's being sent. So you need to alter your behavior, do something different, because now we're toxic and it's your fault, And so that's what they're trying to mold, and you are chasing after the feelings you had during the idealization phase. So what you're chasing is the neurochemical response. You want that dopamine and oxytocin hit again, and you're not getting it because now they're stonewalling you, they're gaslighting you, they're pulling away, they're ghosting you, they're doing all of these tactics that are manipulative, that take away that neurochemical response. And so you're craving that neurochemical response. So now you're finding yourself like a drug addict doing and just doing any little thing you can to get that back, to make them happy. If I can just make them happy, I can have it back, And so you're constantly chasing that high again. And what they then like to do is sprinkle little bits of that high. And so it's a push-pull where they devalue you. So they'll give you back some of those feelings and then they'll take it away again. Give you back those feelings again, take it away. And it's a constant process. And each step that they do that brings you down further and further until they no longer can bring you down any lower. And so once they feel like they've gotten to that point, then they discard you. Okay, so now they'll discard you as if you've never happened. And so now, because remember, you're nothing to them other than a supply source. So they'll find another supply source. It's just like plugging a power cord into another outlet. You know what I'm saying? So once they've drained you of all of your supply that they think they can get from you, or you finally gotten so tired of it, or it's gotten so harmful to both of you, they then pull out and they're gone. And that's when they've discarded you. And that can last a long time. This can last 6 months. This could last 10 years in a marriage. All right. But this is the pattern that it follows. And so you have to recognize what it is. And once they discard you, it's the ultimate statement. They do it at your lowest point, and it's the ultimate statement of how low a value you are in comparison to them. At least that's the statement. It's not obviously true. And so then that gets you are just, it's like someone took your crack away and the crack is never coming back, But they'll like to, even after discarding, continue to contact and continue to kind of sprinkle some of that stuff in just to see if you still want them, just to see if you would still go and just to get a little bit more supply out of you. But they'll never really after discarding you a lot of times come back. And so that's what it is. That is the cycle of a predatory relationship. And this is they seem to follow the same exact pattern. And so you got to recognize the pattern for what it is. If this has happened to you, it's a trauma. Okay, it's a trauma and it's damaged your neurochemicals, much like drugs have damaged the neurochemical response, for a drug addict. And so you have to treat this like you're breaking an addiction as well as breaking a toxic relationship pattern. It's both. All right. And so you're probably going to need help. If you have been through this type of a relationship, and you are at risk of repeating it because you'll chase the high with someone else. All right. So what you need to do is you need to break this addiction once and for all, break this hold that this type of relationship has, and be able to enjoy healthier, better relationships with other people. Okay. And so that are much more rewarding and feel a lot better. All right. And so if you need that help, I'm available for coaching. Hit me up private message. I can refer you to resources or we can book a session. Thanks again for making it to the end of the video. Stay tuned for more videos like this as promised. Talk to you soon.